You know, whenever we talk about graffiti in the greater Portland area, you flood our emails and our voicemail boxes, and that's great. We love that. You tell us you hate it and that it's an eyesore and you wonder why nobody does anything about it. Well, then you'll love tonight's big story. A 28-year-old who's living in Northeast Portland is beginning a 2.5-year prison sentence tonight for slopping graffiti all over the Portland area. Here he is after getting caught in the act by Portland police. His name is Jerry Mijangos, and his tag is KASR. You may have seen it around Portland. Police think he's done it more than 800 times. There are many interesting parts to this story. The first is how it took so long for him to be held accountable. Today I got to talk with Officer Nathan Kirby-Glatkowski, one of the 2 officers focused on graffiti vandals in Portland.
You know, this is a situation where I've been investigating Mr. Jerry Mijangos for almost 4 years. I've done 4, myself and my partner, Officer Amelia Floor, on the neighborhood response team. We've done 4 rounds of cases on Mr. Mijangos. During the first one back in 2021, you know, we sent a whole stack of cases to the district attorney's office. We made an arrest. We interviewed Mr. Mijangos. I was really hopeful at that point that we would resolve the situation and they wouldn't continue tagging, and we would be done. We would have a success. Unfortunately, Mr. Mijangos just continued unabated. There were other arrests by patrol catching him in the act, making tags. We put additional stack of cases together. My partner and I again investigated another series of cases, several of them felonies. Many different victims. Mr. Mijangos is somebody that targeted small businesses, public buildings, roadways, but you know, we can't understate the impact on everybody, but especially his impact on small businesses was pretty profound. Right across people's windows and doors and on their businesses, it was there were a lot of victims that were really hurt by him.
In fact, he says to this day, they don't really know the total number of tags this guy painted around the city and how much it cost folks to clean it up. After that first set of cases, police put together another set because the tagger was painting like it was no big deal. Mijangos was arrested again, pled guilty, and was sentenced to probation in April of 2023, basically saying he wasn't going to do it anymore. You know what? He lied. A month later, he was back at it, so police put together a third set of cases last winter, and he was jailed in January, eventually released, and you'll never guess what happened next. He was back at it again.
I was really hopeful we were there. You know, he spent several weeks in jail after that arrest. However, when he was released, he immediately went back out and started offending again. Mr. Mijangos was probably, by the time he was most recently arrested, our most prolific tagger in the city. He was up everywhere, and he had no compunctions about putting his tag in places where it had a pretty horrific impact. 30 months in prison is a long time. I hope that sends a very clear signal to anyone out there doing graffiti that there's a consequence. This is not an activity that you get a blank check to go do. There is this point where you may spend years of your life in prison for continually vandalizing property that is not yours.
You say there's a high price to pay, but with his earlier cases, there wasn't.
You know, the court system takes time. We were also in the middle of the pandemic, and things were complicated and moving a little slower there in 2021 and 2022. I'd like to say that currently we have a lot of cooperation from the district attorney's office. We work with really great district attorneys there. And you know, we're seeing some speedier resolution of our cases. Yeah.
It does feel like the city has sort of turned a corner and said no more.
Yeah, I think that we got to a point in this city where graffiti reached an egregious level, and it has a real impact on human beings stepping out of their house and going to work or going to where they play or going to wherever they do. They see this graffiti everywhere, and it's generally indicative of a criminal permissiveness. It's ugly, it's disgusting, it's a blight on our society. And we are at a point now where I think most of society feels that way and wants action done on this. So if you're out there doing graffiti, if you're out there doing vandalism, it is criminal, and we are going to come find you and hold you accountable for that. This is what the city wants. This is what I want, and we'll make it happen.
Now again, Mijangos is now starting a 2.5-year prison sentence. I wondered about what may have driven him to do this over and over again. What's his motivation? What's he get out of this?
Mr. Mijangos and I have had several interviews. We've spoken several times. This is a thing that he's told me he just does, and he isn't going to stop doing. He told me that from day one.
But does he consider himself an artist and this is his expression, or is it him giving the middle finger to the man?
I mean, he believes that he's painting, he's not vandalizing. He believes that he's out there doing what he needs to do to feel whole. Well, what he needs to do to feel whole makes a whole lot of other people hurt. And I think he's got that message today.
Leaning into graffiti cases recently, in late June, officers raided this house in southeast Portland after a documentary on graffiti in Portland from a group called KASR revealed spray paint warehouse in this garage. The man interviewed tried to conceal his identity, but the cops knew him from earlier encounters. The documentary also included this spectacular footage of another man rappelling down off the Fremont Bridge to spray paint his tag, Monk 6. I asked Officer Kirby Gletkowski about that as well.
Monk 6 was the tagger who did that rappelling, and we're investigating Monk 6, and we'll see where that goes. The other person that was prominently shown in that Vice News documentary, sorry, it wasn't Vice News, it was former Vice guys, Chaos Town. So the other tagger, the other graffiti vandal that was prominently shown in that Geimer, my partner and I and the neighborhood response team did a search warrant at that location that was in that video, and we seized approximately 1,900 cans of spray paint out of their graffiti warehouse. A graffiti warehouse that we believe was shared by many vandals as they went out and did what they did in our city. And so I think that action and a pending indictment that we expect very soon on that case, plus this sentencing of Mr. Mijangos, and additional recent indictments that we've done on taggers such as Cam1, Tendo, Beer, Thuja, Geometro, Omega, the 8 or 9 significant high-level, deeply investigated cases that we've done in the last year and a half, 2 years. I think that message is getting out, that we are not easy pickings, that City of Portland is not just free for the taking and people can come here and do all the graffiti they want to do. We'll continue that action, and we'll continue to try to cause that deterrence and change that perception. And for folks such as Mr. Mijangos, we'll be looking to get prison time for them.
I got to tell you, I was impressed the way he rattled off all those tags. Clearly knows his folks. Mijangos pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree criminal mischief, by the way, according to the Oregonian. It was part of a plea deal that gives him credit for time served. He's also able to get eligible for time off for good behavior. So, what do you think about the sentencing and what Portland police have to say about graffiti in our city? Not harsh enough? Too harsh? Email us, will you? The address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you.